Hey, you're just in time for this week's episode of Out of Office. I'm your host, Andrew Allen, and this is the place where you can learn everything that's going on in the world of remote work in just a few minutes. This week has been a real doozy, so let's dive straight in. First up, we have some amazing news out of PwC Nigeria, who are reporting that over the next 10 years, remote programming jobs are going to pump $50 billion into the Nigerian economy. Now that is enough for Nigeria to transition from a developing country to a developed country in 10 years. And that's massive news because historically, countries have only managed to develop at that kind of speed when they do things like digging for oil, selling off assets, or investing in often unsustainable tourism practices. And given the average age in Nigeria is just 19 years old, with the rest of the world struggling with an aging population, they are poised to really pick up the mantle here. So it's really hard to overstate the value that that brings to Nigeria and other countries like it. Our next story this week comes out of Forbes India, which published a really interesting list of some of the intercultural skills that enable people to succeed in remote work. So they say the key is to think differently and adopt a global mindset. Some of their tips to build that mindset include practicing skills like communicating openly and trusting team members to remain productive even when you can't see them. But our lead story this week comes out of Stanford University, which published some super interesting stats about the uptick of remote work. Now there are some fascinating takeaways, like the global norm is now to work from home 1.5 days per week. And one thing that surprised me is the country that leads is actually India, with 2.6 days on average people are working from home. Another takeaway was that more than half of all people said that they are more productive working remotely, and only a tiny fraction said that they were less productive. Now, I'd bet my right leg that those people work for the kind of companies that sit you in endless Zoom calls all day with no gaps in between and no opportunity to do your real work. Another interesting insight was that 1/4 of all workers said that they would quit if their employer required them to return to the office full-time. And in the UK, that was as high as 42%. So if you're a British CEO about to tell your people to come back to the office 7 days a week, maybe think twice about that. And here's the real kicker. Workers are saying they would be willing to take a 5% pay cut to work from home. Now you would think companies would hear that, realize their people are saving money on transportation, they're saving money on office costs, it's kind of a win-win, right? You'd be wrong. Just wait till you see what Wall Street's dreamed up now in this report from the LA Times.
Thousands of Americans have become accustomed to remote work as business operations shifted online during the pandemic. Now that companies are calling staff back into the office, some are considering paying employees less if they opt to work from home.
How short-sighted can you get? You're both saving time and stress, and productivity is going up. Yet instead of seeing it as a win-win, Wall Street does what it always does and gets greedy. Mark my words. The companies that fight remote work or shortchange their people are just gonna go the same way as the other companies that resisted innovation. Here's looking at you, Blockbuster. And that's all we have time for this week, but we covered a lot of ground. I would love to hear from you which story you found the most interesting. Drop it in the comments and I'll reply to the most interesting ones. Until then, I'll see you next week. I'm Andrew Allen and the future of work is out of office.